Hey everyone, Marissa here and welcome back to another video. Today I thought we could just have a bit of fun and do a mid-year roundup for 2023 so far. If you've never seen one of these roundup videos before, these are videos I used to do monthly in which I would kind of compile and talk about all of the content that I've been creating that month, any life updates or fun activities that I wanted to share with you, and then most excitingly talk through my monthly favorites. Now obviously this one's going to be a little bit longer, more expanded. We're broadening the scope from 1 month to the entire first half of 2023, so I have a lot to get through. My suggestion would be grab a snack, maybe a drink. You could put me on in the background, fold your laundry, whatever it is you would like to do to keep yourself occupied. I'm gonna get right into things because I'm actually gonna try and do this. I was gonna say succinctly, but I think that's impossible for me. So we're just gonna do our best. So in terms of content this year, I have been lacking, and yet I'm on an upward, I've got some upward momentum. So we're gonna, you know, go into this with a positive mindset. So my first video went out in March, and that was a video reflecting on 10 years of Little Spider 9, 10 years here on the channel, which still completely blows my mind. It feels like maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago that I actually started posting videos here, but I was just a wee lass. I was just a baby in college when I started doing this. So if you have not yet seen this video and you are a longtime viewer, you might enjoy kind of the trip down memory lane, if you will. If you are a newer viewer and newer to BookTube, you might just enjoy hearing what the community was like back in days of yawn. Days past. I will link all of the videos that I mentioned in cards on wherever corner that they normally fall, and then I will also link everything that I have links for that I'm talking about in the description box below. It wasn't then until June until I really hit the video making stride, and the first video I put up in June was on the books that are helping me get back into reading. So in that video I kind of talk through like some of the bad scrolling habits I've developed, and then some of the books that are helping me try and reestablish a good reading routine. I have actually finished all of the books that I was talking about in that video, and with the exception of Prince Harry's memoir, which I am still highly conflicted over, really thoroughly enjoyed everything. So, you know, positive start to this like rediscovering reading experience. I did actually get up one other video in June, and that was just like a fun book haul video. I went to a library book sale and picked up a lot of mysteries and historical fiction. So we talked through that, and you guys all had like some really helpful information for me that you shared in the comments, so thank you very, very much for doing that. Hi there, Marissa from another day popping in. When I initially filmed this video a few weeks ago, I went next into a discussion of my Etsy shop, Little Spider Creates. If you didn't know, this is a very small sticker and stationery shop that I run where I sell some original designs, and I have not yet figured out how to really incorporate that here on the channel. I did film a few like art and shop related vlogs a while back, though I honestly don't know that I will do any more of those. They felt highly awkward to film, and I don't know, I wasn't convinced that that was like how I wanted to incorporate the shop here on the channel, if at all. My best idea so far has basically been to use these roundup videos as like a little bit of a place to incorporate the shop. I feel like the content section of these videos is naturally a place where it would be okay to share like non-YouTube related projects, and I do consider the Etsy shop as like one big ongoing project, if you will. I don't ever really want it to feel like I'm hawking product at you, because obviously if you'd like to check out the shop and you would like to buy something, that was fantastic and I appreciate it, but otherwise like no pressure whatsoever. So I figure I do these videos sporadically enough now that if I do have new things to share, hopefully it doesn't feel like I'm just like throwing product at you all the time. Again, when I initially filmed the video, I talked about the shop as I was currently preparing for a shop update, but because it's taken me so long to edit this video, the shop update has actually come and gone. Well, not gone, because I still have stock of the new products, but all of the new products are up. So I thought I would just run you through them very briefly. So something that continuously blows my mind is the fact that the thing I sell most of on my shop is actually vinyl stickers. I would never have guessed that in a million years going into it. Initially, I focused more on art prints, but the stickers are the thing that does the best. So I made more of them. Apologies for this afternoon lighting because it's really not doing the artwork justice, but this first one here is a poppy and California wildflower bouquet. This is the first time I've done a colored background on one of my stickers. Normally they're white or clear, and I actually really quite like how this turned out. So that's number one. And then the other new sticker I have that just went up is Sal the Seagull, and I just think he's so cute. I also have one new postcard print that I designed on Procreate. This is Fog on the Coastline, and it's inspired by a photo that I took years ago when I was in Monterey, and then I just added some like little wildflowers in there. I absolutely love this. It is a 5x7 inch print, postcard print. It's like a thick 16-point paper, and then the back is just like a uncoated matte with my branding on the back. So you could either use this as like an actual postcard, or you could use it as an art print. And then the last new product that was part of the summer shop update is a new bookmark. Now I've sold a few reversible bookmarks for like a year now. Very sadly, nobody really buys them. I really like them. They're like kind of the bookmarks I have been using all year, but unfortunately they don't seem to be big sellers. So if my booktube family here could like help me out and like spread the word a little bit, that would be much appreciated. So this is my newest bookmark. It's got a glossy front, as you can see. Again, the lighting is not helping me out, but this is just a wildflower pattern. It's very similar to the wildflower bouquet sticker. That's kind of like, I had, you know, a little bit of cohesion going on there. So you got a little bit of a glossy front, and then the back is slightly more matte, with just a singular tile of the pattern here, and again, my branding at the bottom. So if you are interested in checking any of those out, I would greatly appreciate it, but again, no pressure, and if you are interested, the link is in the description box below. Okay, back to the video. Okay, so moving into like a little bit of a life update, I guess the thing I wanted to talk about here is my journey to scroll less and do more. And so far, tentatively optimistic, it seems to be working. I still do have days where I scroll. Like on Friday, for example, I think I sat down purposefully and was like, okay, today it's TikTok day. Like I'm gonna scroll a little bit. But the difference is one, I'm using timers now. Like I'm literally setting, not like a screen time setting or anything like that. I'm literally going into my timer and like setting, okay, like you get like 15 minutes, you get 20 minutes, whatever. And I'm actually listening to the timer go off. But two, something has changed. I can't tell exactly what it is, but I'm not getting the same, like my brain is not doing the same thing it used to when I would scroll through TikTok. So I am taking that as a win. I have noticed that some days I feel like I have replaced scrolling TikTok with scrolling Instagram a bit more than I have in the past. But again, neither are really bringing that same like little dopamine hit that they were like even a month ago. So again, I'm not entirely sure what has changed. I feel like it's relatively quick for that big of a change in how I feel about using the platforms, but it just genuinely how I am feeling about using them right now. I've also noticed that as I have been really consciously trying to cut back on my social media usage and just like my general scrolling, my screen time overall has started to kind of naturally go down. Even my YouTube viewing time, or like the fact that I used to just like binge watch shows every single day for a week after work, that has not really been happening, and I've really been reaching for books as like my primary form of entertainment at the moment. I do think that part of what's playing into that is the fact that it is currently baseball season, and as a massive baseball fan, I have a game to watch every single night. So like if it's a choice between binge watching a show and watching the baseball game, I'm gonna watch the baseball game. I can also read while watching the game, whereas I can't watch a show while watching the game. So I will be very curious to see if I can use baseball season to like build a good reading habit, if I then kind of fall back into more screen time come say like mid-October when baseball season is over. I don't know, kind of an interesting observation, but I am just really enjoying kind of like fact finding on this journey to reestablish good habits and like fix my attention span. Speaking of baseball, let's go ahead and segue into my favorite things from the first half of 2023, and baseball being back is definitely one of those. For reference, I am a San Francisco Giants fan, and I have been an avid watcher of baseball since about middle school. I've read a couple of books on the topic because baseball is a very like stats and rules heavy sport, so there's a lot to learn. Obviously, you don't have to know everything, and I definitely don't, but it's one of the few sports that that I've ever felt the need to like really deep dive into, and it's the one that I look forward to most every single year. I would also say though that I was a more active fan this off season, and especially this spring training, than I ever was before. I did a lot of reading up on our current roster and listened to a lot of interviews, and you know, now I listen to like certain Giants related podcasts. So I just feel like I'm getting like a broader picture of both the baseball world in general and like the new rules and all of that, but also just like I think I know my team a little bit better. I would also just say, and I don't often say this about like large corporations, but in this case, paying for the MLB app is 100% worth it. Now, I am a San Francisco Giants fan based in a Los Angeles Dodgers region. So unfortunately, most of the LA games are blacked out, which I don't really care about, except for when the Giants are in town. And then I'm like, what do you mean I can't watch my favorite team? So the nice thing about being a subscriber to the MLB app is that they put up archive versions of every single game. So if you wanted to, you could go back and watch a blacked out game after the fact. Now, I am the kind of fan that will go back and rewatch an old game. So if that's not how you watch your sports, then I totally understand. But I have to say that has been a really fantastic option for me. Especially this year, because we have had blackout games. We've also had a lot of day games. And as somebody who works full time, obviously I'm not going to be like watching the game at work. So I will listen on the radio, but I'm not going to be watching the game at work. So it's been really nice to, after a day game, come home at night, and then as I'm eating dinner, just kind of like watch through the highlights, or at least like watch through certain innings, you know, if I know that like one inning was like a more productive one for us than another. I would also say that if you're a baseball fan and you're on YouTube, you probably are already aware of John Boy Media, but if you're not, it's a fantastic channel. They also have like a separate, more baseball focused channel, but John Boy predominantly looks at baseball anyways, so it doesn't really matter either way. They do fantastic like play-by-play breakdowns on kind of wild, wacky moments, and they do really good lip reading. So if you are at all interested in a kind of more humorous take on baseball, if you like lip reading, and especially like if you like breakdowns of wacky plays or ejections or brawls, you might really enjoy the channel. And I also have to say that because there are so many new rules this year, I have actually learned a lot about the new rules just by watching John Boy's breakdowns. So had to recommend that as well. Because we already started off with baseball, I figure we might as well go into some random favorites, and let's talk about some clothes, because I don't talk about clothes here, but I have some things I wanted to mention. I've been a skinny jeans girl since high school. I'm a millennial. Sue me. You were never going to get me to stop wearing skinny jeans, especially high-waisted skinny jeans. That is just like my go-to default look. However, I have been getting really into kind of like wider legged khakis as a good alternate option this year. I think that's mainly because I don't like the way wider legged or straight cut jeans look on me. I look shorter than I am already, and it makes me look like I'm wearing someone else's pants. In particular, I have been able to find some really awesome khakis from Gap. Now, I've got a couple different styles, but this is my most recent acquisition. I think these are the ones that fit me the best. These are the high-rise stride khaki with Washwell, and I've got them in this nice like dark, I don't know what you call this, like a moss green, and then also in like a classic khaki color. But they have like these like little useless pockets in the front, but they do have a nice pocket in the back that totally fits like my phone, my hands, etc. What are these? These are a 2 petite. For reference, I am 4'11", and they just fit me perfectly. I will say on the model on the website, these are supposed to be like ankle cut, so a little bit of a shorter crop pant. On me, they literally just fit like normal length pants, but that's kind of what I wanted anyways. Gap is always having fantastic sales, so if you are a short or petite person in general, you might find that these fit you really well. They are a wider leg, and they are kind of loud when you walk. I would just like to point that out, but I did not have to hem these. I don't have to wear them with like platforms or anything like that to keep them from dragging. And I love these a lot. I would totally get more colors if they had them in my size. As long as we're talking about apparel, I also wanted to mention I bought a new pair of sneakers this year. I had a realization halfway through last year, I think I'm a bit of a sneakerhead. I don't have that many pairs. Well, comparatively to most sneakerheads, I don't have that many pairs of sneakers, but that's only because I wear kids size shoes, even though I'm 31. I wear 2.5 little kid size shoes. So you don't always find like things I want to wear in that size. But anyways, Nike always comes through. These are a free run. I used to love these back in the day, like in college, I used to actually run in these. And I saw this color and I was like, oh my God, I need these in my life. So I bought them. Unfortunately, because they are little kids, they have Velcro. I've worn these to work. I wear these to physical therapy. These are my preferred walking shoe. They just seem to like feel very comfortable on my feet, and I don't like, my knees don't hurt, my feet don't hurt afterwards. So I really quite like these, and they have a couple of other colorways, but this was a little bit more like adult to me. And I'm kind of on a green and gold and yellow kick at the moment. So right up my alley. Speaking of green and gold and yellow, I just wanted to talk about my phone case. It's not on my phone because I'm filming on my phone, and I'd have to take the pop socket off to put it in the like little mount thing. But this is a phone case I got from Pila cases. Those are the compostable cases that they're like all over social media. I really, really like them. I think one thing I don't like about some hard cases is that they're kind of slippery. They're a little bit glossy, and this is not only a little flexy, but as you use this, as time goes on, it gets a little bit more grippy, which as somebody who drops her phone all the time, I really, really like that. And then most excitingly, I put a pop socket on the back. I'm so late to the party when it comes to pop sockets, but as somebody with small hands, this is like absolutely freaking fantastic. I have one of these on my Kindle also, and it just makes life so, so much easier for holding it, for propping it upright, for holding my Kindle, for reading in bed, holding this way. It's like the world's greatest invention, and I should have started using these years ago. Okay, so let's go ahead and transition into some music favorites, because I have been listening to a ton of stuff this year. Like my Spotify Wrapped is going to be all kinds of a mess. My music taste has definitely been kind of all over the place this year, but one consistent has been that I'm really, really into just kind of like instrumentals and soundtracks this year. So I have a couple of playlists here that I wanted to mention. The first of which is a Spotify playlist called The Frontier, and this is basically like folk and Americana instrumentals that I think they say like push the boundaries. The way I would personally describe this playlist is that it perfectly scratches that weird like indie western itch I get sometimes. The other playlist I wanted to mention is called Dark Academia, and this is by a private user whose name for some reason I did not write down, but I again will link it in the description box below. This is more along the lines of classical and orchestral music. There's some soundtracks in here, and it's literally the first playlist I have ever successfully been able to sit down and read to. Up until this year, I should say, I have not been a listen to music while I read type person, mainly because I don't want the music that I'm listening to set the pacing or the tension for the book, if that makes sense. This one, for some reason, does not give me that issue. It's just like the perfect, I put it down super low and I just let it go, and it's absolutely perfection. So yeah, I would definitely check it out if you, like me, were never really into music while you read. I did have one specific artist I wanted to mention, and that is the singer-songwriter Billie Ann. She is someone I discovered through TikTok, and I think she was probably most well known for the sound, I call you when I need you, my heart's on fire, that one. I would put her in like a singer-songwriter vein, similar to someone like a Kina Grannis or a Nora Jones. She just has a beautiful, beautiful voice. It's very folksy, ethereal, and she's got new music coming out, and I could not be more excited to see her doing well. She seems like a beautiful person, and I love her music a lot. I do have two podcasts I wanted to mention because I have been listening to them kind of nonstop this year. And the first one of those is Offline with Jon Favreau. Now this is from the guys at Crooked Media, specifically Jon Favreau, not of like Star Wars and Iron Man fame, but of the former Obama White House. Jon Favreau is known amongst the Crooked Media guys as the one with the phone addiction, and so he created this podcast Offline to kind of discuss how social media, screen time, and like internet culture in general affects our mental health, politics, and like the broader American culture in general. And he basically interviews just like really interesting people from a wide range of expertise and backgrounds, and they just have some really interesting conversations. The other podcast I've been listening to an absolute ton this year is Dan Snow's History Hit podcast. He is also, I think, part of a broader network of podcasts that talk about more specific topics in history, but I would say that History Hit is kind of like the broad catch-all podcast where they talk about a lot of different historical events across a pretty broad range of years and countries. For the most part, I will say that it skews very Western, and they do a lot of episodes focused on Britain and British history, simply because that's where Dan is from. But they also tend to really cater their episodes around like what's going on in the news currently. So for example, some of the recent episodes were focused on the Titanic, given the Titanic expedition, the missing submarine, which is now found. So they do kind of look at the headlines and say, okay, what in history has led us to this point, or what in history can explain what we're seeing today? And I find that very fascinating. I would also say that if you are all looking to get into nonfiction and looking to get into interesting nonfiction, this whole podcast just makes me want to quit my job and read for a living. Every single one of Dan's guests seems to have written a book on a very fascinating, very like niche subject within history, and they all sound fantastic. My TBR has never been longer, and yeah, I cannot recommend this podcast enough. And then the last favorite that I wanted to mention is going to be no surprise to those of you who watched my Getting Back into Reading video, and that is Midsummer Murders. Now, Midsummer Murders is a British mystery crime show that at the beginning at least follows DCI, or Detective Chief Inspector Tom Barnaby, and his intrepid Detective Sergeant Gavin Troy. They live in the beautiful countryside county of Midsummer and solve crimes in and around the county's various villages. And it is simultaneously cozy and very grim at times. Some of the crimes are very twisted, and some of the motivations are kind of horrifying. But it is such a fun show, and as somebody who is used to crime shows being very dark and grim, I think having murder mysteries set in and amongst the beauty of the English countryside kind of threw me for a loop at first, and now I don't know that I want anything but that for the rest of forever. I will say that I have reached the end point of Sergeant Troy's time on the show, and I fully intend to stop watching, because honestly, while I love the setting and the mysteries, what I live for in this show is the dynamic between Barnaby and Troy. I will say I read the first book, and while I do like the characters in the book form as well, I think I'm in love with the kind of father-son relationship, found family dynamic that goes on in the show. And I think I like that dynamic a bit more. It just made me happy. I don't know, it sounds weird to say about a murder mystery show, but it really did make me happy. And I am slowly forcing my mom to start rewatching it with me, and she's actually really enjoying it too. So yeah, that was a good find, and one that has been recommended to me on like Amazon, like in my Prime all of the time, and I finally just like took the dive, and I'm so very glad that I did. And with that is everything I have for you from the first half of 2023. I hope you are all having a good 2023 so far. Mine has been a bit chaotic, but I think it's going to calm down now in the latter half of the year, which I'm looking forward to. If you have been enjoying anything in particular so far this year, and you would like to let us know in a comment below, I'm sure we would all enjoy reading through everyone's favorite things. But otherwise, that is all I have for you today. So thank you so very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the fact that I'm back to making videos. I will do my best to get them up when I can. So thank you so very much for watching. Appreciate all of your time and comments, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Bye.